All right, so again, sorry for the audio, but this conversation was brought up to me again. I've never done a video on it, but I'm pretty sure I commented on it at some point. This is about Derrick Rose and his eligibility, for the Hall of Fame. Now, let me give my thoughts on it. Although I think Derrick Rose was dealt a shitty hand, I thought that he was unfortunate with the injuries. So many other players are unfortunate with the injuries. Greg Oden, Brendan Roy, Tracy McGrady. But the one thing that Derrick Rose has, which some may consider a caveat, I don't. Look, it's not enough for me. Okay? Derrick Rose had maybe 1.5. His rookie year, his second year, and I believe some of his third year, he was one of the elite point guards in the NBA. Even his rookie year, dude was phenomenal. He still had flaws in his game, but dude was still fun to watch. He was still a pretty decent, well-rounded point guard his rookie year, and he transformed into a MVP his second season, and some believe that he shouldn't have won the award anyway, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm here to comment on his eligibility, or what I believe his eligibility should be as far as the Hall of Fame. Derrick Rose is not a Hall of Famer. Now, the reason why people are considering him a Hall of Famer already is because he has an MVP award, and the common narrative is no MVP winner has never been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Every MVP winner either is or on their way to the Hall of Fame. Now, I'm going to let this play, and I'm going to just comment as we go along.
I want to get to Derrick Rose because he called into the Stephen A. Smith show and had this to say about the Basketball Hall of Fame. Take a listen.
To talk on the Hall of Fame thing, I am a Hall of Famer in everybody's eyes, but to the people that I grew up with, like I made it, I executed, I got to where I was at. I've been having these same expectations I have now. They were thrown on me in 6th grade.
Now, for those that can read between the lines, I'm gonna say what Derrick Rose is pretty much saying. He didn't say that he should be inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, although if he ever was at some point in his career, or at the end of his career, if he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, I'm pretty sure he would be extremely grateful to be there. But he didn't say, I should be in the Hall of Fame. He said, in the eyes of the people that I grew with, in the eyes of his family, friends, in his eyes, he's a Hall of Famer because he was able to do something not everybody is able to do, which is make it in the NBA, be successful in the NBA. Last in the NBA, because look, Derrick Rose, although I think that he does not have a conversation for the NBA in Hall of Fame right now, I think that he's still a phenomenal player. And to be honest, I think we're seeing a better Derrick Rose than we've seen at any point in his career now. And he's only seemed to be getting better as the years go on, and he seems to be improving his game. I thought that his career was over a long time ago, and I was wrong. He is still going strong, and commend him for that. But I don't think that he has a case. I don't see an all-star in the future for Derrick Rose. I don't see all NBA teams in the future for Derrick Rose. I don't see all NBA defensive teams in the future for Derrick Rose. I don't see any of those accolades. The only way he can get in there is if he's on a championship team that wins multiple championships. He won't get the explosiveness back. He won't get that fire back that drove him to win the MVP in 2011. He won't get any of that shit back. Time has moved on. The only way that he can substantiate his claim as a Hall of Famer is with championships. That's the only way. I don't see an All-NBA caliber Derrick Rose anymore. I see a vet who is smarter, who knows how to pace himself, who knows the game better now, which may help him prolong his career. But those championships are the only thing that's going to help him get there. Well, it's the only thing that should help him get there. Let me say that, because they may just throw him in there. If they're going to throw Eli Manning ass in the Hall of Fame, they're probably going to throw him in there too. So
achieved all that. I got through all that.
Rose is a former MVP, by the way, right? And of the current 34 MVP winners, 23 of them are eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. 23.
Now they have Derrick Rose's name up there on this list. Now I can say this off bat: it's too early for James Harden. It's too early for Giannis. Now I can say that James Harden has a bigger claim than Derrick Rose. I can even go as far as to say Giannis has a bigger claim to the Hall of Fame than Derrick Rose. The reason why, and again, this was unfair. It was an unfair hand dealt to him. His injuries. Those are the only thing. That's the only thing that's keeping him, in my opinion, from actually being a Hall of Famer, being a legit Hall of Famer. Is the injuries. They hampered his career. They took time off of his career, which is unfair to him, man. But life isn't fair. And we shouldn't make up for his misfortunes by just throwing him in there because he won a fucking MVP award. Excuse my language. But we shouldn't just throw him in there, man. It shouldn't just be like that. Now, you got him on the list with Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook. Well, no, Russell Westbrook goes down there with James Harden and Giannis. I think it's too early. Look, the triple doubles are great, but bro, like, I'm sorry, I need more from Russell. But Russell again has a bigger claim than Derrick does. Now, Tim Duncan to Steph Curry, all of those names, they won titles. They were the best player on their teams for years. I mean, they have longevity. They have stats to back up their claim. Kobe is top 5 in scoring. LeBron, I believe, is top 5 in scoring. Steph Curry is one of the greatest three-point shooters ever. Kevin Durant is one of the most unstoppable wing players you will ever see at his size. Bro, like this, I mean, dude is damn near 7 foot, who can move like a guard, shoot like a guard, but has the ability to play defense like a power forward, man. Look, Durant is better defensively than people give him credit for. Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, like, you have them up here with these names. It's not fair. They have years, they have time, they have stats, they have accomplishments over him.
3 of them are in the Hall of Fame. So we haven't yet had a guy who's come up, who was an MVP, who didn't make it. And he's sort of the question mark. And I do want to say, by the way, the distinction here...
It's not a question. It's only a question mark for idiots. It's only a question mark for idiots. That's it. It's not a question mark for people who can think rationally and not get emotional over some guy who was dealt a bad hand. Everybody was... I'm not going to say everybody. A lot of people were dealt bad hands. Tracy McGrady was dealt a bad hand. Fucking Brendan Roy was dealt a really bad hand. I mean, Brendan Roy was he was a phenomenal player. Destroyed by injuries. Greg Oden didn't even get his career off the ground because of the injuries. Still trying to find a way to come back, but he can't. Not the way that he was when he was in college. Like, people were dealt bad hands. But because Rose won an MVP award his second season in the NBA, now people are stuck on that. Like, that's supposed to be the only thing you need.
Makes is a really good one, I mean, right? Because we all know where he is from in Chicago. And first of all, making it past being 12 years old is an accomplishment. Making it past being 18 is an accomplishment for everyone who's been...
Those are life goals. To survive in the inner city and make it to the age of 18 is an accomplishment for life, not basketball. Rose said making it to the NBA was an accomplishment. Succeeding in the NBA was an accomplishment. Those are life goals you're talking about. They're not the same thing, and I don't think that we need to be judging a player's Hall of Fame eligibility on life goals. Okay? Shit, making it to 40, 50 now is a fucking life goal. To be honest, with the people that's dropping dead, like, come on, man.
Been able to do that. And then to go out and not only deal with the injuries that he's dealt with, come back the way he came back, especially what he was able to.
And he is a phenomenal player, man. Some may say he's better now than he was back then. Because, he's smarter now. He understands the game better. He's able to play a controlled game. Some may say this is the prime of Derrick Rose, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. This may be the prime. This may be the best we ever see Derrick Rose play. I mean, sure, when he was younger, he was a fucking terror. He was a tornado. He was a tornado of talent. But he's a smarter player now, man. And to be honest, I can sit there and watch Derrick Rose now and watch him play a game of basketball and not feel sad or pitiful, or pity him for any reason. Like, it seems like he got past all those roadblocks that he had, which is a great thing, man. Not everybody can say that. It's almost on the level of a Adrian Peterson. I mean, dude could have any kind of injury to his body and just come back and look almost as good as he did before he got hurt.
To do in the last year or two really is remarkable, and dealing with some of the other issues that Jackie McMullen has detailed, right, that he has dealt with. So I think all of that stuff is really notable. But I mean, does his on-court play get him into the Hall of Fame?
The Basketball Hall of Fame, no. The Life Hall of Fame, absolutely, his first ballot. And because it's two different things. One is just the situation he grew up out of, and to be alive and to be productive and a role model to other people. That's one thing. The other, obviously, is his basketball life story, being an MVP and then having it all taken away and fight.
Which is a sad story, but it's not enough.
Fighting to come back, and then last year we see him be kind of closer to what we remember him as. But the reality is, we said 23 eligible, 23 in, and of those 11, 10 of them are all going to be Hall of Famers. Why? Because beyond their MVP season, there were multiple seasons of high-level production.
Thank you. Years. Again, you have to have stats to go with it. You have to have other awards to go with it. James Harden has I'm not going to say never. James Harden hasn't had, that I've seen, an injury that prohibits his ability to play at a James Harden level. Giannis has yet to have an injury that prohibits Giannis from having the ability to play at a Giannis level. Like, they're still early in their career. Not really so much James Harden, but they still have time. Those other guys, Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, fucking Kevin Garnett, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, they have time on their careers. They have stats to back up their arguments. They have awards to back up their arguments. Multiple All-NBA teams. Some All-NBA defensive teams. Playoff success, championships. They have those things. You can't compare him to them. You just can't. It's not feasible. You can't do it.
He just doesn't have enough. It's a shame. It's sad, but I mean, I don't think that just because he's an MVP, it's a rubber stamp you're in. You kind of have to put in 5, 6, 7 years of that kind of dominant play that we.
Yes, which is considered your prime, and to be honest, he missed his prime with the injuries. They destroyed his prime, and now he's just trying to get back to. He's already back, but he spent some of that time trying to get back to that level. But he's back now to a level where he's a contributing player to an NBA franchise, which is the most a player can ask for at this point in their career.
So all those guys on that list have.
I mean, he gets hurt, and then he does have a few other good seasons where the Bulls makes.
Yeah, not enough though, man. What are you talking about? Not enough.
Some deep playoff runs, but he was really never the same once he started having those injuries. I think it's a kind of borderline. I mean, I honestly like.
There's no fucking borderline. What the fuck are you talking? There's no borderline. It's a yes or a no. It's a no. To rational thinking people, it's a no.
Like, my first reaction was like, but he really.
And whoever came up with that saying, if you gotta think too long about if somebody's a Hall of Famer, they're not a Hall of Famer. That's stupid. Some things, the best things, take thought. You need to think about these things before you jump off a fucking cliff, man. I don't know who came up with that. If you have to think about them being a Hall of Famer, they're not a Hall of Famer. There's no thinking about this. He's not. He just doesn't have enough, man. I'm sorry.
Really did have that kind of talent. If anything, I'll draw in another sport.
So are we putting players in based on talent or accumulative? Accumulative. I can't say it right now. I'm so fucking hyped up right now because I'm so tired of hearing this Derrick Rose argument, man. Accumulated stats need to back up your argument. Accomplishments need to back up your argument. I'm sorry.
Another Chicago-based sport, but like sometimes when people get hurt earlier in their career, people take that into consideration when they're voting on the Hall.
No, that's bullshit. That's like consolation prize. What's the point of having a Hall of Fame if we just gonna vote people in because we feel sorry for them? What's the point in doing that? If we feel sorry for them, let's just vote them in. Let's just vote them in because they have a sob story. If that's the case, all right. Look, Greg Oden, not Greg Harden. Shit, I don't even know who the fuck that is. Greg Oden should be in the Hall of Fame because we were robbed of an entire career of Greg Oden, who was supposed to be the most dominant big man we've seen in a long time. All right, Greg Oden was a force coming out of Ohio State, but we were robbed because of the injuries. Brendan Roy should be in too, man, because that dude showed that he had the talent to be a fucking elite, almost on a Paul Pierce level. Like, that's how good fucking Brendan Roy was before he got hurt. You know what? Let's throw him in there, man, because we were robbed of him. Let's go. We were robbed of these players. And they were very talented, but injuries destroyed them. So let's just throw them in there, man. Let's just do it. Let's throw everybody in there who had the talent to be great, but just couldn't do it because of the injuries. Let's just throw them all in there.
Hall of Fame, and when they're deciding on someone like maybe like a Gale Sayers type, right? Like that is an interesting parallel with him, right? Because hurt early, never the same. But like Derrick and the Bulls.
Look, back in the day, man, back long time ago, the criteria for Hall of Fame was probably different because the eras are different. To be honest, I mean, you might have to split up the Hall of Fame, like the sections, man, because eras should determine what is the criteria for you to get in there. Because before free agency in a lot of these sports and before player movement, a lot of the teams were the same. I mean, it wasn't fair to some players who were drafted to teams and they can't go anywhere else. But then you look at the Boston Celtics and the fucking Lakers and how stacked they are because of their drafting and all this other stuff, and they got all these Hall of Famers on their team and nobody can beat them. So I'm missing out on championships because I'm on this terrible ass team that's pretty much a fucking expansion team. I mean, the criterias were different, man. The criterias were different. So, I mean, the eras were different, so the criterias were most likely different. I don't know, man. It's not the same, man. You get compared. Sorry. So you might have to, they might have, I don't know, man. They might have to separate the fucking Hall of Fame, man. And because the criteria is different now. I'm pretty sure championships weren't as looked at as they are now, and all these other awards weren't less looked at, man, because of the talent level and just the team you were on and yeah, I don't know, man. I'm trying to rationalize it, man, because I can't say that Gale Sayers is not a Hall of Famer, even though his numbers compared to some of the other players' numbers aren't even close. It's different. It's different. The eras are different. You can't compare them.
Did have some pretty deep playoff runs in the Eastern Conference.
But there are two names. If I'm Derrick Rose, I'm thinking about Ralph Sampson, and I'm thinking about Bill Walton. Those are guys who have, Bill Walton, MVP, Finals MVP. But if you look at his career, it wasn't that long in the NBA. But Bill Walton also had UC.
But Bill Walton, he accomplished a lot in his short amount of time. I mean, and he led the Portland Trailblazers to an NBA title, even though those years was kind of obscured because the NBA was just going through such a rough patch. And maybe he won it because the NBA was just so nerfed in talent, I guess, and so nerfed in exposure. And it's just, I don't know. Maybe he did win it in an obscure time, but Bill Walton, man, he went to the Celtics. I mean, he was the backup big man behind Robert Parrish, man. But I mean, dude is a multiple championship winner, Finals MVP, bro. I'm sorry, it's more than what Derrick Rose brought to the table. It's just more.
UCLA.
Yeah.
And Ralph Sampson also had Virginia. And that's the part where I don't know how because we don't know who votes or what they vote on. That's the funny thing about the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Right.
So.
Yes, and by the way, that's a good point because it is the Basketball Hall of Fame, not the NBA Hall of Fame. So you talk about college, obviously the careers of those guys, Vlade Divac.
Still not enough. Because although Derrick Rose was a decent college player, I don't think that his numbers were comparable. If we're just looking at college, alone, I don't think his numbers rival some of the players that were able to make it into the Hall of Fame. Like a guy like Tyler Hansborough, who's the all-time leading scorer for North Carolina. He's most likely going to end up in there, even though his NBA career wasn't great at all. He had an average, not even an average, he had a below average NBA career. But he was so great in college, I can't see them not putting him in there. I don't think Derrick Rose had that impact in college, man. Even though he was the number one pick, man. They picked him on talent. They didn't pick him because he was such an outstanding college basketball player. A lot of times these players get picked on potential, not what they do in college.
Who was just inducted, right?
He's an international
Obviously
committee
has the
nominee.
international, but that's the point. Is people are like, wait, he's not a Hall of Famer. Look what he did in the NBA, and they're like, wait, it is the Basketball Hall of Fame, and there is an international component. Derrick doesn't have.
Now, what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to finagle any way possible. Any way possible, they can find a way to get him in there. They're going to get him in there. Derrick Rose will be a Hall of Famer, and they're going to find any kind of loophole or whatever that they can to get him in there. Do I think that do I think that he's earned that? Because the Hall of Fame is supposed to be sacred. Do I think he earned that? No. Even Al Hassan said they don't think that he doesn't even think that he earned it. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is such a fucked up argument, man, because he's such a good player. He was a good player, but he just didn't. All right, I'm done with this, man. I just wanted to do this.